Innovative businesses see every day as an opportunity to create something new. Dell Technologies advisors are here with tools and expertise to help you do incredible things. Because Dell Technologies believes there's an innovator in all of us. Learn more about smart PCs powered by the Intel vPro platform that's built for business. Find tech that's right for you by calling a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Hey, BA fam, it's Mandi, and we have some exciting news for y'all. We have been nominated for our third Webby Award. That's right. For 2023, we are now in the running for the People's Choice Award for Best Business Podcast Individual Episode, and we need your help to win. Voting is quick and easy. Just hit the link in the description of this episode or head to our website at brownambitionpodcast.com. Winning this award would mean the world to us, y'all. We won 2 last year, and it was such an incredible opportunity, such an incredible acknowledgement of how powerful the Brown Ambition fam has been. And it would help us reach even more people and continue to provide the valuable insights and advice that y'all love about personal finance and career development. So what y'all waiting for? Let's show the world what the Brown Ambition community is made of. Head over to brownambitionpodcast.com, click the banner to vote, and thank you so much for your support.
I'm about to budget this to break down, girl. Wait, where am I? Okay. Wait. Okay, it's time for the B-A-Q-A-A-A, the B-A-Q-A, what you say? The B-A-Q-A with Mandi, the B-A-Q-A with Tiffany, the B-A-Q-A. You know, we do Brown Ambition question and answers. You have questions. We have some answers, although we are not your mama. We're not your financial advisor. We're not your doctor, your attorney. We're just 2 smart brown girls with opinions that you should take with the smallest grain of salt and then lean into the people that you pay, honey. Okay? But yeah, if you have questions, please ask us. Go to brownambitionpodcast.com. Click Ask Us Anything about business, career, entrepreneurship, life, child. We just be talking. We've got some career questions today. Do you want to do the first one or do you want me to do Amandra?
I'm happy to read the first one because I feel like the second one's got your name written all over it, okay? We got a juicy career/career business combo today. I can't wait to get into these, but let's start with listener Christina, who says, "Hello, ladies. I am an eager 26-year-old in the beginning stages of entering my professional career. I'm currently an assistant manager at a local credit union in Colorado, and I want to become a branch manager in the next year. I love listening to your podcast, and I want to hear your thoughts on a decision I've been contemplating for the past year. I got my bachelor's degree in 2018 in organizational and strategic communications, but have recently been considering pursuing my MBA. The company I work for has an amazing tuition reimbursement program, and they'll cover 95% of the cost if you get A's in your classes, with the stipulation being that you sign a retention contract to stay on 2 years after your final class. While this is an incredible opportunity and I could get my MBA for nearly nothing, I struggle on whether or not it's worth it. I've spoken with a couple of higher-ups at the company who do not hold degrees higher than a bachelor's, and while it's not required for me to move up in management, I worry that if I ever wanted to branch out into other industries, I would have a hard time competing with others who may already have their MBA. Since my experience would only apply to the financial industry and I lack knowledge of general business operations for other industries, I worry that I may limit my growth potential. Do you believe it would be beneficial to obtain my MBA while gaining management experience to stand out in the event that I wanted to pursue other opportunities with higher pay? Or is there little to no benefit in this day and age to pursue a graduate degree? Kind regards. Oh, she does work for a financial institution. Kind regards, Christina.
Oh, baby Chris. We're going to call you baby Chris because you're 26.
Yeah. Oh, but this is great because 26, but also has a whole plan and it's already thinking strategically. Yes. Yeah, MBA. I mean, it's hard to also 95%. That's a lot of your tuition covered. And if you are committed to the course and you think it would be a strategic, I agree with you. I almost feel like when you compare yourself to older people in your industry, they had different rules that they played by. They got hired at different times. And also you work at a bank. So I'm guessing that they're not people of color. And
melanated.
they may have had connections to get where they are. I just feel like you definitely want to think beyond the bank where you're at, because I doubt you'll stay there for your whole career. And in that case, maybe an MBA would be a good strategic move. And you have to think, will I be comfortable staying here for the duration of the program? That's so called.
Which is not, it might not be the worst thing, but it is. It is golden handcuffs. So I like what you said, Mandy, because it is kind of like if she thinks of it from a broader scope of her life, she has to ask herself, does the NBA make sense for what is your overall desired outcome? I'd like to one day explore ... Will the masters help with that? It's really not about the bank, honestly. It's just that you get them to pay for a thing potentially that will enhance your ability to make wider choices later, maybe or maybe not. Because how long is an MBA program, Mandy? 2 years?
Couple years?
3 years?
Yeah. Something like that. 2
or 3. So you figure 2 + 2. So you're 24. So by 30, you'll be free to fly. Is that something you're open? And I don't know that there's a right or wrong other than to choose based upon exactly where you are right now. To me, that would be short-sighted to be at 26, what do I want to do? But really asking yourself the bigger picture, beyond this, what would I like to do? And will an MBA be useful to me? There's no way to know.
I would say if your dream was to start a business someday, I would say you don't necessarily have to have an MBA to create a business. If that's what you're thinking, I think MBAs really are about reaching parity with the competitive nature of people in that industry, business industry, financial industry. And if you were thinking you have a long career in financial services, then, I feel it could make sense to have your MBA, especially if it's going to help you stand out on a resume. If it's the one thing that they'll filter for before they hire anybody, which I think is short-sighted, but probably still happens. I do want to say that about this whole golden handcuff thing is you don't have to look at it as if you are trapped there, because one of my favorite lessons that I teach in my negotiation masterclass is that you are able to negotiate. So let's say you got a job offer from another bank and you were I'm ready to sign this offer letter. However, I'm going to be on the hook for these tuition payments that I've had for the past years. They may give you a signing bonus to help you cover that payment and have you do the same thing in return, sign some kind of retention agreement, which is very typical about signing bonuses in general. There's maybe a year or 2 years or whatnot, but you're not entirely trapped by that, because you can potentially negotiate and get your another employer to cover it for you so that you're okay walking away. So if that gives you a little bit of comfort knowing that you have that bargaining chip, obviously nothing is guaranteed, but I have to assume that in an industry like in the banking industry, I have negotiated big fat signing bonuses myself in banking, and they got the money, and if they want you, they'll be writing you a check. Yeah.
I like that. That's smart. I never thought about that you can kind of negotiate that, or even negotiate how many years? What about 1? What about 6 months? Or negotiate with the new place to say, can you pay that off for me? It's almost you jump from, if you leave your phone carrier or whatever, they're we'll pay off your... Exactly. Your contract. Yeah.
Exactly. Or when you negotiate a lease, if you agree to if you get them to lower the rent in exchange, they may ask you to sign a 2-year lease instead of a 1-year lease, or increase the rent, but reduce my lease to 1 year because I don't want to
month to month.
down.
Yeah. Or make it month to month.
Yeah. Or month to month or something like that. It's negotiable, boo. Let me see. I was just talking to one of my Mandy Moneymakers today who, first of all, is just professionally educated. She just is about to get her doctorate in philosophy. She has a master's. She has an MBA. And for her, it was the outside pressure to get an MBA. And then when she was in the program, she was this is not, I already have so many years of business experience, and I'm realizing the MBA is not really enhancing my understanding of my company right now. So I would just say you really have to be doing it for the right reasons. I would pick your program carefully and make sure that it, has the courses and has the reviews, and maybe even talking to alumni to see, if they thought it was helpful, so that because they're not all created equally. And you want to pick a program that, qualifies as an MBA, of course, but may have, may be able to teach you beyond just generic business strategy that you could use later in your career, and just squeeze as much juice out of that orange as you can.
So like my sister Tracy, for example, she has her MBA, but because she had her bachelor's in finance, she was like, I've always wanted to unlearn marketing. So she got her MBA, almost like a dual MBA, but it was like the core component of it was marketing. And then the sub component was finance, because she was really interested in that. So just, beyond where she was working, she worked for a financial company, but she was like, if they're going to pay for it or help, that's why she did it that way, because she was just like, this is something I'm interested in to grow beyond where I am. And, she's not working with them anymore, but she still has this education that she uses for her PR business now. So
that's a really good point.
I like it.
All right, Miss Christina. Thank you so much for the question. Thanks for listening. Shout out to Colorado. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with a really juicy question. You guys want to stick around?
Mandy's trying to get me sued.
I'm not. Just trying to get you to share some tea. That's all I'm saying. Spill some tea. All right, be right back, y'all.
Hey, BA fam. I just learned Discover credit cards do something pretty awesome. At the end of your first year, they automatically double all the cash back you've earned. Whoop, whoop, that's right. Everything you earned doubled. All the cash back from eating at your favorite soup dumpling restaurant doubled. All the cash back from that trip where you sort of learned to snowboard also doubled. And the best part, you don't have to do anything ridiculous to get it. Nope. Discover does it automatically. We love that. Seriously though, see terms and check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
As if the McCrispy couldn't get any better, Bacon and Ranch just entered the chat. The Bacon Ranch McCrispy, available at participating McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
April is National Financial Literacy Month. What is financial literacy? It's applying different skills effectively, including managing your finances, budgeting, and saving. It just so happens the Cumulus Podcast Network has 3 great podcasts to help raise your financial IQ. Stacking Benjamins with Joe Saul-Sehy, Bankrate's 2023 Best Personal Finance Podcast.
What's one of life's biggest expenses that we can maybe talk about reducing?
Housing.
Is housing on the list? Buying a house is the number 2 expense of all these expenses. What's a way that we can reduce our housing expense?
Move from Seattle to Florida.
Wow, spoken like somebody with a little knowledge of that situation.
Afford Anything with financial journalist Paula Pant.
You have many financial goals. You want to buy or pay off your house. You need to replace your car. You want to pay for a wedding, send your kids to college, travel the world, and one day retire. But how?
And Webby award-winning Brown Ambition with Tiffany the Budgetnista Aliche and personal finance expert Mandy Woodruff.
When I was crafting my resume in my career, I wasn't thinking about the job I had. I was always thinking what's going to impress the person who has my next opportunity and make them want to have a conversation with me. And I think people are not thinking that far ahead.
That's why we be leaning into you, career coach.
So, as you look to improve your financial literacy, follow Stacking Benjamins, Afford Anything, and Brown Ambition, wherever you listen.
All right.
And we're back.
Oh, you take that away.
We're back. We have a question from Anonymous. We're going to call you BBG, Beautiful Black Girl, because she says, hey, beautiful black women. You know what? We're going to call you Beautiful Black Woman, BBW. Hello, beautiful black women. First, let me say that I love your show and I'm one of your biggest fans. I'm also one of Tiffany's mentees. Hey, girl, if you want to be a mentee, go to mymentortiffany.com. It's $10 a month, and I help people with their businesses. During the pandemic, I formed a limited partnership consulting business with one of my closest friends. When we worked on our first big contract together, I realized that we did not work well together. Our work styles caused a lot of conflict. And so I stopped bringing in contracts through this business. I have another business that I solely own. Ooh, sound like me, girl. Recently, I've decided I wanted to grow the consulting business, but I know that I cannot work with my friend. Therefore, through several very difficult conversations, she agreed to let me buy her out of the business. Now that I have done the hard part, I'm not sure what the next best step is. Should I hire a lawyer to draw up legal paperwork, dissolve the business, and reform it as a single member LLC or some other options? Thanks in advance for your help. Child, okay, let me step lightly because I may or may not have just done this. So, but I remember what my contract had said about what I could say.
Not with me, let's be clear.
So, what'd you say? No, not with Mandy, girl.
I said it wasn't us,
so, No, it was not with Mandy. So I'll say this, literally this is the process that somebody named Biffany might have went through. Okay. Right. So Mandy's like, gotcha. She's like, Biffany. So
Badochi.
one for, so first and foremost, you did the first part, which is so great, which is you had the difficult conversations. If you are in partnership with someone who is a friend or otherwise, and you're thinking you want to not be in partnership, the key is before you bring in the lawyers, you have to have a series of conversations. I did not thankfully I have this girl named Biffany that I don't know. She had a really great business coach who really coached her to say, have these deep, heartfelt conversations because you need to get on the same page before you get legal involved. So I'm glad that you did that part. So bravo. And they're meant to be hard, but thankfully this is your friend. And Biffany also cared about her and still cares about her fictional partner. That's first and foremost. And then when that happens, then two, you have to get on the same page about the cost of how much is the business worth. And so you want to get, it wasn't as expensive you would have thought. You want to get a, what are those things called? Evaluation. Right? Because here's why. Let's just say you're like, oh, I just agree. Just give me $200, right? But then later, your potential partner can come back and say, I felt like I was ripped off. So having an official valuation on the books is really critical. There's a company called Scalar. Let me see if I make sure I spell it right. Who does evaluation. And what I like about Scalar is that they've done billion-dollar companies. SCAL, right? Is it Scalar? Scalar evaluation company. And that's all they do.
Is that who you used? I mean, Biffany?
Well, I didn't do this. This person, Biffany might have used Scalar. So it's SCALAR. Mm-hmm. So I had heard that Tiffany had used this company called Scalar, and they're great. That's all they do. They've done Dollar Shave Club. They've done some of the biggest companies that you've known. And it was a few $1,000s. It wasn't $30,000. That's what I thought valuations cost. And it took maybe 2 weeks, that's what Biffany had said. And so, so having that in paper, and then literally what's so great, hopefully you have a financial person that can pull up all the financial components because they're going to want to know about the business in total, because they're going to want to know, they're really going to look at the last year's worth of business. They're not going to go back 2 or 3 years. So if you were making big money 3 years ago, they're like, yeah, but what's happening now? They need a real snapshot of what's happening now. And if there's any contracts leading into the future, they're going to use that. Then they're going to look at your industry and say, there is a multiple. So in the finance industry, it used to be what your net income is multiple times 10. But the finance industry has been a little shaky. So they don't multiply times 10 like they used to. But the scaler will know. And they'll also compare you to other similar-esque type of companies to say, this company is worth this. And that's how, based upon your numbers, based upon what you do, based upon the multiple, and based upon the comparable companies, this is how we come to you with your numbers. Now, here's the thing. There's going to be 2 numbers. You're going to get a number as if you were a publicly traded company, which that number will probably be higher. And then you'll get a number as the fact that you are not a publicly traded company. So that number is going to be lower because, they all call it a marketability penalty, because it's you're not publicly traded. So I can't just say each of your stock is going to be worth or whatever, because, maybe the company has your face on it or whatever it is. And, they're like, well, we can't quite say you're worth 10 million. We got to say you're worth 6 because it's just a privately traded company. And that's going to harm your ability to sell this company and actually get $10 million, if that makes sense. So they're going to give you both of those numbers. So you're going to want for you and your business partner to be talking with whatever valuation company that you use. So, no one's ever fully happy, but at least it's a third party. This is what they do. It could stand up in court. We're all on the same page. Some people get multiple valuations, but like I said, that was a solid company, at least for you to go start. Okay. So then once you get your evaluation, then and I don't know if you guys are 50-50, 30-40, whatever, then that's basically the math, which is, we're 50-50. So they told us the company is worth $1 million, I have to pay you $500,000, and you can figure out whatever that payment looks like. Is it going to be over a period of a couple of years? Is it going to be right away? Whatever that is. But this is something to keep in mind too. You also have to keep in mind that if there's money in the company that is not assigned for specific things, that money is up to be divided as well. So I'll give you an example. So for Biffany, I had heard that she had 6 months worth of savings. And at first she was like, girl, no, this savings is for the company one day. And it's like, no. Any savings in a company really is just delayed payment to its owners. Because really, if I have money in a company, like for example, Mandi and I will have money in our account for Brand Ambition. And just because we haven't spent it, right, it doesn't mean that we have not paid taxes on it. Like we have to pay tax on whether we spend it or not. But we like to have a little bit of savings because we have some things to pay. So that money has already been taxed. So legally and morally and rightfully, that money is yours and your partner's. So you're going to have to so if you have money set aside for operations, because it's okay to say I have 2 or 3 months for operations for these specific things, that's fine. That's not money you split. But if it's just savings for savings sake, then know that money outside of what you owe them is going to go to that person, like their half or whatever. And then you will also have to pull out your half. And so just keep that in mind, but also too, equipment. So Biffany, for example, I heard that she had cameras and these maybe $20,000 worth of equipment. The equipment had to also be accounted for. And then the value of the equipment had to be, split if it's 50-50 or whatever, So just keep that in mind. So the hard part about it is that all of a sudden, you kind of pull money out of the company. Like I said, I don't know if you have savings that you might be like, damn. But the good part is for Biffany, for example, there was enough money pulled out that pullout money was enough to pay. So Biffany didn't actually have to come out of her own pocket. She just used the money that she received from the savings. So it was like, okay, that's what I had heard she had done.
I was going to ask, if you don't have the money to buy someone out, how does that work? And
so one, if you have that savings, or you can work on a payment plan where it's because I've had friends, a friend, him and his brother, they split, and the brother had to, for 5 years, pay him annually, monthly, but annually, until he paid. It was maybe it was $500,000 or whatever. So if you don't have the money out of pocket, like Biffany supposedly did because she was able to pull it from the company, then you can set up a payment plan and basically let the company you're keeping help to generate that revenue. So that's another thing. So once you figure out, okay, this is what the company's worth, this is our split, we're on the same page, then you bring in the lawyers, because lawyers are expensive and you want as little back and forth as possible. So you want to be we're on the same page, and it would be great for your attorney. They definitely need an attorney. Even they're like, oh, no. They need to have an attorney too, and do a recorded Zoom. So this is also recorded, hey, any last little tweaks or whatever, what about this and what about that? It's all on recording, and then we've all, it's all been agreed to. Contract is drawn up. It's important for both attorneys to touch the contract. So if your attorney starts the draft, allow their attorney to make the tweaks. If that makes sense, because you're thinking about a year from now, 10 years from now, whatever, is well, that wasn't a fair contract. How? Because both attorneys touch the contract. That's really important. It should not just be one attorney doing all the tweaks, So that's something really important too. And then, so the worst case scenario is really shutting down the business, because as you know, if you're wanting contracts and things like that, they like to see businesses in business for 2 years. So ideally you don't want to shut down the business. And so, that's only if, whatever, you guys can't agree. And it's well, we just got to shut this thing down. I have to just restart as something else. But you don't have to shut down the business if you buy this person out. You do what you're supposed to do, that you can keep the business. And then it just gets I don't know, your attorney will do this for you. My business attorney will refile and say, this is Tiffany's Biffany. That's what I had heard, business total. And, so all that stuff will be fixed on the legal back end. Your attorney will do that for you, as well as your CF, your account, whoever your financial person is. But that's kind of the process. And then, you pay over a series of years or pay right away or whatever it is. It's really important to let the person receiving the money decide. So let's just say it's at the end of the year. They're not going to want to take a big lump sum at the end of the year because they don't have enough time to write it off. So you want to integrate your financial, whoever your financial person is on the team, your accountant, to see that, making sure that like when it comes to taxes, what does that look like? There's not really any tax implications for you, the buyer, but certainly for the person receiving the money, they have to sit with their accountant and figure out what that all looks like. And then you just make sure you have an airtight contract that basically says that you've accepted this money, is donezo. You cannot come back for more money in case we blow up. You cannot come back for equity and nothing. It's done. Everybody agrees. This is the evaluation. Everybody's on the same page. Like I said, have one attorney draw it up and the other attorney make the tweaks. So everyone has touched it. You have the video recording of we're all on the same page. We all agreed. This is best case scenario. Honestly, some people are just going to be battling it out, because I have a friend who's battling it out for the last 3 years. So this is kind of best case scenario. And hopefully this is your friend, because like Tiffany, I heard she's still really good friends and real cool still with her business partner. It was hard and certainly contentious, I heard, but it's all good, So I just say like that is what the process may or may not look like. I had heard through the grapevine, because over here I'm whole and good, but it is possible to do that, because
taking a nap during this segment.
But just like, because I don't think people talk enough about what it is to split up. So here's one thing I will say, just to like close out. The only reason why it is possible to have this kind of smooth like transition, and honestly, Mandy, me and you need to get on this anyway too, is that we had an operating agreement. Remember, we've been talking like Tony. It's done. Yeah, we did it.
We did a different one recently. Yes.
Girl, meanwhile, I'm like, I signed it.
Listen, I'm pretty sure we signed it. Yes. We got one.
Well, let's check, because I'm just like, I did. So, but you want to make sure that just anybody listening, that you're getting, even like me and Mandy, it's been 8 years. We work wonderfully together, but you want to have an operating agreement in place, not just like, oh, in case you hate each other one day, God forbid something should happen to myself or Mandy. What is the protocol? Like what is supposed to happen? Or what if somebody wants to leave? The operating agreement is going to help significantly. Like what's our percentages? If you own more of a percentage, you can kind of force someone's hand. But if you're 50-50, you have to kind of come to the table. I've done this twice. I've broken up with business partners twice. 2 companies one I wanted to shut down, and one, I had heard that Tiffany had done that. So anyway, I'll just say all that to say that like it is possible to, it's not supposed to be easy, but it's certainly possible for it to not be, like super contentious, and for it to go smoothly as it can. But I will say this, and I know I said in closing last time, but pick a date that it has to be done by, or you'll just be dragging your feet forever. Like, hey, this needs to be done by, I'm just making up a date, October 31st. If not, I'm just going to shut this thing down. You have to pick a date, because people will drag their feet forever and ever and ever. You certainly don't want to drag it into the next year, because, every year, you pay 2022 taxes, we have to pay in 2023. So you have to think to yourself, you're going to be connected the next year either way. So pick a date. Do not let it go into the next year, and get it done. And, if you have to walk away, sometimes, that's better than, getting dragged for years and years and years. So hopefully that was helpful. Tiffany, girl, thanks, girl, for giving us some tips. I had heard.
Thanks, Tiffany. So transparent. Yes, we did ours last summer. I was just looking at my emails. I'm like, here are the emails from Tony.
A mess.
But no, let's triple check. We make sure. Because that's kind of our style as Tiff. It's like we'll talk about things, and then like 6 months later we'll do it. And then 6 months later, like, did we do that thing? And
I know, because it's important.
It is important.
Like I said, honestly, mostly for me and Mandy, it's really more so I just thought to myself about like, well, what if something happens to one of us? So, this allows like to not have to wonder like, wait, what?
Well, we had that whole, like with those Supermans passing. Yeah. And you taking, it worked out because like at the end of the day, we're a pretty simple business, Yes. And it's literally you and I.
Yes.
And, at the end of the day, the challenges are not as challenging, but still it's like who knows what could happen in the future.
Exactly. And so you just want to be able to say, oh, okay, this is what, because one of the things when one of my attorney friends told me, Arenze, he's awesome. he said, you want to create contracts when things are good, because, everybody's like kumbaya when things are good. That way, if he said, you can do whatever you want until you disagree and then you do what the contract says. So, but like, I'm just making it up. Like, let's just say me and Mandy always said, we always have to have a beat face no matter what in our contract. We don't have to do that. We're like, girl, bye. But if me and Mandy are beefing, I'm like, you know what, girl? I want you beat your, then okay, the contract says beat face. So we both have to have beat faces. So you see what I mean? Like, you can do whatever you want until you disagree, and then you follow what the contract says. So just keep that in mind, that contracts are so critically important. Even now, I was just thinking to myself, I got to hit my designer, Rihanna, up, because she's doing my new condo that I bought. She did the house that I live in now. And she's like, oh, we don't really need a contract. I'm like, oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. Because obviously she's awesome, all the things, but I'm like, it's just bad practice not to have contracts.
When you're working with your friends and family.
Yes.
That's my belief.
Yeah, it's just bad practice not to. So hopefully that was helpful. Biffany, girl, you're a rock star. She's been living through a lot the last couple of years, but she
You nailed it. Totally have no idea what this is about, who it's about. All right. Thank you to that listener. What do we say? BBW? Does BBW stand for Beautiful Black Woman? Whatever. It's fine. It does now.
Yes.
All right, BA fam. Until next time, as a reminder, please send us your questions on IG. We are at Brand Ambition Podcast. You can also hit us up, brandambitionpodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to be a guest in the studio live on the show to get your questions answered, let us know. The best way to do it is to submit a voice note instead of a written question, so we can pass that on to our producer. And maybe you will be featured live in the BA fam studio. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exciting. Until next time, bye, BA fam.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, BA fam, we could not do this show without your support or the support of our team behind the scenes. The Brand Ambition Podcast is produced by Imani Crosby, and Dennis Stemplinsky is our in-house tech guru. I am your co-host, Mandi Woodruff-Santos, and we will see y'all next week, BA fam.
Dissecting politics with exclusive interviews, commentary, and humor. Useful Idiots with Katie Halper and Aaron Mate.
Check out this story that comes via wedding planner Georgia Mitchell. I'd say that's a deal breaker if you were to catch your partner being breastfed by their mother. The thing is, she's hearing this secondhand, so
right.
We really...
The responsible journalist in you, Aaron. It's just an allegation.
Yeah. None of my sources have confirmed this story.
Right.
So...
terrible if true, and definitely a deal breaker.
Useful Idiots, wherever you listen.